It was supposed to be a simple office party, a night to celebrate the company's biggest contract of the year. For everyone else, it was laughter, champagne, and loud music. For Ryan, it was the night he watched the woman he loved destroy everything he thought he was. They had been together for almost 3 years. Emily, brilliant, sharp, confident, worked in the same department. She was the kind of person who walked into a room and made people turn. Ryan admired her drive, her charisma, her boldness. He thought they were a team. But that night, in front of their colleagues, she proved how wrong he was. Before we begin, tell me where you're listening from in the comments. Your city, your country, anywhere in the world. And if stories like this one make you feel something, don't forget to subscribe. Your support helps keep these stories alive, and every story deserves to be told. The evening had started fine. Ryan was the quiet one, standing near the buffet with a drink in hand, while Emily charmed the executives. She laughed too loudly at their jokes, her hand resting on her boss's arm a little too long. Ryan told himself it was nothing. She was just networking. But as the night went on, she drank more, and the teasing began. When someone mentioned Ryan's name for a toast, Emily smirked. "Oh, Ryan? My little assistant? He's sweet, but let's be honest. He's not exactly leadership material." The room laughed. A few nervous chuckles at first, then louder. Ryan's heart sank. "Emily, that's not funny," he said quietly. "Oh, come on," she replied, holding her glass high. "Don't be so sensitive." "I'm just being honest. I mean, you've been here 5 years, and you still don't have a single team under you. Maybe you should stop dreaming about promotions and just enjoy being average." Her words cut sharper than she realized. Or maybe she did realize. Either way, she smiled while everyone laughed. Ryan forced a smile, feeling his face burn. "Excuse me," he said, setting his drink down. He walked out before anyone could see the tears forming. Outside, the cold air hit him like a slap. He sat in his car for an hour, staring at his reflection in the dark window, replaying her words. Average. That single word echoed louder than all the laughter combined. When he finally started the engine, he made himself a promise. He wasn't going to fight back. He wasn't going to defend himself. He was going to disappear and build something they'd all remember. The next morning, he quit. No explanation, no farewell email, just a single line to HR. "Thank you for the opportunity." No one expected it. Emily didn't even reply to his message. For weeks, he disappeared. He stopped answering calls, stopped checking emails, stopped caring what anyone thought. But behind the silence, something began to grow. An idea. He took the only thing he had, his savings, his experience, and the humiliation that wouldn't stop burning. And he built a plan. He rented a small office downtown, barely big enough for a desk, a laptop, and a dream. He named it Novatech Solutions, a consulting startup specializing in digital logistics. At first, it was just him. Long nights, instant coffee, endless calls that went nowhere. But Ryan had something none of them had. Motivation carved from public shame. For 12 months, he didn't rest. Every rejection was a reason to push harder. Every closed door was fuel. By the end of that year, Novatech was no longer just a name. It was one of the fastest growing service firms in the city. And one morning, while scrolling through local business news, Ryan saw something that made his heart stop. Atlas Logistics announces acquisition talks with Novatech. Atlas Logistics, Emily's company. He smiled slowly, leaned back in his chair, and whispered to himself, "Let's see if I'm still average now." The boardroom smelled like expensive coffee and old pride. Atlas Logistics had always been the kind of place that looked down on dreamers. The kind of place that chewed ambition up and spit it out as experience. But today, the room fell silent as Ryan walked in. He wasn't holding coffee cups anymore. He wasn't standing by the door waiting to be noticed. He was the one people stood for. 12 months had passed since he left that building humiliated. 12 months of long nights, quiet sacrifices, and small victories that no one clapped for. Until now. And now, the same executives who once laughed at him were waiting for his approval. Before we continue, a quick reminder. If stories like this one make you feel that slow burn of satisfaction, the kind where karma finally arrives, then don't forget to subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. Your support helps me keep creating stories about quiet revenge and beautiful justice. "Mr. Carter," the chairman said, rising from his seat, "it's an honor to finally meet the founder of Novatech." Ryan smiled politely, his expression calm, his tone professional. "The honor's mine. I've heard a lot about Atlas. Some good, some memorable." The older man chuckled, not catching the tone beneath the words. But a few faces around the table did, including hers. Emily. She was sitting 2 chairs away, frozen, the color draining from her face. She'd seen his photo in the press release that morning, but hadn't wanted to believe it. Her eyes met his, and in that instant, she remembered every word she'd said at that party, every laugh, every insult. Ryan didn't flinch. He simply looked at her the way she had once looked at him, with polite indifference. The meeting began. Charts, projections, negotiations. Novatech's proposal was bold, an acquisition that would merge Atlas into Novatech as a subsidiary, keeping only a handful of positions. Everyone knew what that meant. Layoffs, restructuring, new management. By the second hour, the room buzzed with tension. When the chairman finally asked, "So, Mr. Carter, who will oversee Atlas after the merger?" Ryan leaned back and said calmly, "I will." A few people exchanged uneasy glances. Emily looked like she'd stopped breathing. "Of course," Ryan continued, "I'll need to evaluate which departments are worth keeping. Some may not fit the new company culture." He let the words hang in the air. Soft, deliberate, surgical. After the meeting ended, people began to file out quietly, whispering. Emily stayed seated, staring at the table. Ryan paused at the door. "Emily," he said finally. She looked up, startled by the sound of her name in his voice. Steady, deep, controlled. "Congratulations," she said, forcing a smile. "You really made it." "I did," he said. "Thanks to you." Her brow furrowed. "Me?" He nodded. "You showed me what I never wanted to be. You were the reason I walked away, and the reason I came back." She exhaled shakily. "So this is revenge?" He smiled. Not cruelly, but with the quiet satisfaction of someone who's already won. "No, Emily. Revenge would have been walking out again and letting you keep thinking you were better. This." He gestured around the boardroom, the company logo now next to his own. "Is closure." That afternoon, Ryan toured the office floor. Every corner brought back a memory. The desk where he once spent late nights fixing someone else's mistakes. The elevator where he first kissed her. the break room where she once called him average. It felt like visiting a past life. People whispered as he passed. Some smiled, others avoided eye contact. But one thing was clear. The dynamic had changed. He was no longer invisible. When he reached his old department, he stopped. His former boss, now clearly nervous, stood to greet him. "Ryan, sorry, Mr. Carter, I can't believe—" Ryan held up a hand. "Don't worry. I'm not here to fire anyone today." He smiled slightly. "But tomorrow's schedule might be different." The man nodded quickly, unsure if it was a joke. Back in his new office, the one that used to belong to the CEO, Ryan sat at the desk and looked out over the city. It was strange how familiar it all felt, like he'd never left. And yet, he had changed completely. He pulled out a photo from his drawer, an old one, taken before everything fell apart. In it, he was standing next to Emily, smiling, arm around her waist. He looked younger, softer. He looked like someone who still needed other people's approval to feel worthy. He placed the photo face down and whispered, "Thank you for the lesson." Then he opened his laptop and sent an internal memo. Subject: upcoming restructuring. Body: some things are better rebuilt from the ground up. The next morning, the office buzzed with rumors. Everyone had heard something, but no one knew everything. Whispers moved through hallways faster than the printer could hum. Some said the company had new owners. Others said layoffs were coming. But by 10 a.m., every screen in the building lit up with a company-wide email. Subject: new management structure. From Ryan Carter, CEO, Novatech Group. Every employee opened it at once. At the very top was a list of departments that would remain and one that would not. Public relations. Dissolved. Emily's department. For a few seconds, the entire floor froze. Then slowly, everyone turned to look at her. Her hands shook as she read the line again, hoping it was a mistake. But at the bottom, there was only one sentence. Affected employees will be contacted directly regarding transition opportunities. Transition opportunities. The polite way of saying, "You're done here." At 11 o'clock sharp, she got the call. "Ms. Turner," the voice said, "Mr. Carter would like to see you in his office." Her stomach twisted. She hesitated in the elevator, staring at her reflection in the mirrored doors. She'd spent years walking these halls like she owned them. Now every step felt like borrowed ground. When she reached the top floor, his assistant greeted her with a professional smile. "He's expecting you." She stepped inside. Ryan was standing by the window, city skyline behind him, sunlight catching the edge of his tailored suit. He didn't turn immediately. He just said, "Close the door." She did. "Please sit." She sat, trying to steady her voice. "If this is about the restructuring, It's exactly about that," he said, finally turning around. "You're one of the people affected." She looked up sharply. "You're firing me?" He didn't answer right away. "You embarrassed me in front of 100 people, Emily. You made me a joke. Do you remember that night?" Her lips parted, but no sound came. "You told me I'd never be leadership material," he continued, voice calm but cutting. "You said I should just enjoy being average." She looked down. "I was drunk, Ryan." "It was stupid. It was honest," he said quietly. "That's what hurt." The silence between them stretched, thick and suffocating. Then she said something he didn't expect. "Do you feel better now?" Ryan blinked. "What?" "Now that you've won, Now that I'm the one sitting in front of you, scared of losing everything. Is that enough? He stared at her. The question hit harder than he wanted to admit. Was it enough? He thought of those nights working alone in a dark office, whispering her name just to remember what pain felt like. He thought of the first deal he signed, the first success that should have felt like triumph, but didn't. Because victory without peace was just another kind of prison. No, he said finally. It's not enough. She looked up, confused. Then why fire me? He walked to the desk, leaned forward slightly, and said, because keeping you here would mean I still care what you think. And I don't. Her eyes glistened. For the first time, she looked small, not powerful, not perfect, just human. He handed her a folder. That's your severance package. 6 months' pay. You'll be fine. She took it with trembling hands. You really changed, she whispered. He nodded. No, I just stopped waiting for people like you to notice. When she stood to leave, she hesitated by the door. For what it's worth, she said softly, you were never average. He didn't look up. I know. The door clicked shut. That evening, Ryan stayed late. The office was quiet now, empty, peaceful. He stood by the same window, watching the sunset spill gold across the skyline. His reflection in the glass looked tired but content. Not triumphant, not vengeful, just finished. He picked up his phone, opened a draft email he'd written months ago, one he never sent. Dear Emily, one day, I hope we both grow enough to see that what we did to each other wasn't love. It was ego. And sometimes losing each other is the only way to win ourselves back. He hit delete. Some things didn't need to be said anymore. As he turned off the lights and stepped into the elevator, the building was silent except for the soft hum of the city outside. The doors closed slowly, reflecting his calm face back at him. And just before they shut completely, he whispered the words he'd waited a year to say, not out of spite, but peace. Goodbye, Emily. The elevator descended, carrying him away from everything he used to be. And for the first time in his life, Ryan Carter felt truly free. If this story hit something real inside you, that quiet satisfaction of justice finally served, tell me in the comments below. Would you forgive someone who humiliated you? Or would you let karma do its work? And if you enjoy stories about pride, redemption, and revenge that burn slow and silent, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. Your support keeps stories like this alive, and maybe helps someone else remember that being underestimated is often the first step to becoming unstoppable.